search for Google Stats. Yeah, it's usually the first thing that pops up. Yeah, it's like the first thing there. Usually the last icon on the page says video games. Yeah. Let's select video games, please. My favorite video game of the top 100 video games is Tetris. Where's Tetris on this list?
22.
Oh my god. No way. Go scroll down. Go. No way. What? Braxton! Okay, I'm gonna write down the name of the city. You get to hang on to that. Okay, this is your phone, right? Go ahead and unlock it. Go to come down to cities. Name any number between 1 and 100. Just whisper it in my ear. Go ahead. Okay, so watch this. As we come down to your number, okay, actually you do it. Come down until you get to your number.
Oh my god.
Okay. What do you see? What do you see under your number? Now remember, I wrote a prediction down even before you said anything. Open up the prediction.
Oh my god, this is crazy.
Let me see the prediction. Show it.
What are you doing? You putting black magic on us or something?
Do you remember that bill that I wrote a prediction on? Mm-hmm. It's still in your hand, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Open up the bill. What does it say on there?
Chinchilla. Come on.
Chinchilla. But you know what?
Oh, and the cereal says 558.
What? The cereal. Did you notice that I underlined the 558?
Oh wow, that's my bill.
We're gonna go to that famous, Google Stats website. Yeah, let's select cities for me, please. I want you to scroll down that page.
Got it.
You got it? From 1 to 100, with your eyes closed, where do you actually see Miami on that list?
42?
42. Please scroll up and let's see if Miami is actually at your number.
Yeah. Yeah, 42 is Miami.
Really?
Give me any number between 1 and 100. 7. Number 7 is his number. So what I'd like for you to do is go to actresses. Okay. On actresses, look at number 7. Number 7 in actresses. Tell me who the 7th person in actresses is. Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts. Check this out right here. Check this out. Julia Roberts. Yeah. Dear friends, we are very excited to introduce the latest version of ReaList for iOS. Now, the configuration that you see on the screen here right now, on the left-hand side, we have the magician's phone, and on the right-hand side represents the spectator's phone. So now let's first concentrate on the magician's phone. Once you download the latest version of ReaList onto your iPhone, you're going to go ahead and launch it, which is right here, and you'll see the splash screen. And so now the new layout of the ReaList screen starts from the top where you can see the URL that you always use for ReaList, which is google-stats.com. Right below it, you've got the instructions button. So if you click on that, of course, it takes you to the instructions page where you can see the videos that describe exactly step-by-step how ReaList works. And then below that, we got 2 new buttons. One, which is for perform on my phone. In circumstances where the magician wants to perform on the magician's phone, you would simply select that. And we're going to see that here in just a moment. And then on the right-hand side, we have perform remotely. Now, most of you professionals are going to be using the perform remotely option. So let's go over exactly what that is. Okay, so when you click on perform remotely, you'll notice that by default, the numpad, you ask your spectator, which is the phone here on the right-hand side, to open up any browser, and you ask them to do a search for Google Stats. And usually when they do, the first thing that pops up in a Google search will be Google Stats. So just have them select usually the first, second, or the third thing that pops up. And then, as you can see here on the left-hand side, the magician's phone says, ask your spectator to visit googlestats.com, and to force an item, ask them to select the topic video games. Okay? So now you ask the spectator on the right-hand side to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, because usually the last icon on the page is video games, and for them to select video games. And when they do, you'll notice that on the left-hand side over here, immediately the magician's phone now has been paired with the spectator's phone, which is just crazy. The spectator believes they're doing nothing more than following the instructions of the magician, even though by simply tapping on the video games topic in this example, they are now paired with the magician. And so now the magician says that, yeah, you know what, my favorite video game in the world is Tetris, but we're going to just randomly select a video game, so name any number between 1 and 100. So let's say the spectator says 25. So now the magician, if they're performing over the phone, they would simply type 25 here onto their phone. They click the send button, and of course, it now transmits 25 to the spectator's phone. As you can see on the magician's phone at the top of the screen there is a inject feedback that shows you that Tetris was actually forced. That's because ReaList does work with inject, and so now inject has generated a push notification as well. But now, just to prove to you on the right-hand side that the spectator's phone does have Tetris, on item number 25, you ask the spectator to scroll down the page to item number 25, and sure enough, oh my goodness, there it is, 25 is Tetris. Okay, now just to show you how fast this is, here on the spectator's phone, let's say you wanted to force Tetris on 26. So I type 26, I hit send, and you notice that immediately here on the right-hand side, now 26 is Tetris, and 25 now is something different like Minecraft. Okay, and that's how easy it is to use the numeric keypad function of ReaList. Now let's go back and examine some of the other input methods that you have in ReaList. So now with the new gear icon that's here in the upper right-hand corner, you can just click on it and scroll down where it says transmitter type, and we're going to go ahead and select clock swipe. Okay. Now, once you got the clock swipe selected, another exciting addition to the new version of ReaList is remote control settings. So this is now complete support for Bluetooth remote control, exactly the same way that it is in Inject. So here you notice how you have the arrow keys that you can simply map to any key on any Bluetooth remote. And I actually do have a small Bluetooth remote that is connected to my phone right now, and we're going to be using that in just a moment. Okay, so since we've got the clock swipe method selected over here, we're going to go back and we're going to now select the perform remotely button again. And now you'll notice that the screen looks different because this is now the clock swipe method for remotely controlling your spectator's phone. So now clock swiping means that the magician can either just take their phone and put it in their pocket, and with their index finger or their thumb, they can just swipe on the screen to input a number. So let's say the spectator wants the number 33. So 33 is simply 4 swipes to the right. As you can see over here, it says forced 33. And on the right-hand side, which is the spectator's phone, if we scroll down to item number 33, there it is. Tetris has now been forced to item number 33. Now remember, you have never touched the spectator's phone. So now let's examine doing the same thing here on the left-hand side on the magician's phone, but this time using a Bluetooth remote. So let's say the spectator wants the number 24. So 24 is this, and you can see I'm using the Bluetooth remote buttons to input the number 24 very quickly. And as we can see, that transmission has already been successful and has gone. And now on the left-hand side, if we scroll down to 24, there it is again. There is Tetris. So we're very, very excited about now having Bluetooth keyboard support in ReaList. All right. So those are the first two input methods that are for remote performance. And one of my favorite methods of performing ReaList, especially in circumstances where you don't want to do pocket swiping, is another option here under the transmitter type that's called QR code. So now here's how QR code works. Once you select it, you're going to go back to the main page and select the perform remotely button. And you'll notice that here it shows you quickly that your pairing topic is video games and it displays a QR code. You're now welcome to show this QR code to your spectators and ask them to scan the QR code, which will then immediately take them to your Google Stats page for your account. Okay. Now, of course, if you don't want to do that, and if you don't want to ask your spectators to scan this QR code, you can just ask them to do the same thing as we did before here on the right-hand side, where you just ask the spectator to do a Google search for Google Stats and to select the video games topic and proceed. Now, what's so sneaky about this QR code input method is that even though the QR code looks like just a simple square illustration of a QR code, it's actually a secret input method. This is a numeric keypad, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's a 3x3 grid, and the empty white space that's down below it is a 0. So if you pay attention here to the lower right-hand corner of the QR code, if I want to input a number like 22, all I would do is just tap this top here twice, and I'm sure you noticed that 22 appeared in the lower right-hand corner. So if I wanted to type in a number like 58, so here's a 5, here's an 8, I can see the 58, and 58 has been transmitted. And of course, on the right-hand side over here, if we scroll down to item number 58, we would notice that sure enough, there's Tetris, right? And then finally, if we want to input a number that includes a 0, so let's say we want to do 40, right? So there's the 4, there's the 0. I could see the 40 over there. And of course, if we were to scroll back up here on the right-hand side, which is the spectator's phone, item number 40 is Tetris. And then finally, the other thing that's really exciting about this QR code is that you can either ask your spectators to go to google-stats.com, or if you tap the words google-stats.com, you'll notice that it now changes to trends.google.com. So at this point, if you ask your spectators to scan this QR code, what your spectators are going to see here on the right-hand side is going to be, watch this, all you have to do on the spectator's phone on the right side is tap the hamburger menu here in the upper left-hand corner. And when you do, it takes the spectator to the Trends website. In fact, I'm sure you noticed that the URL says trends-google.com, which is only one character off from the real trends.google.com. So this page has been designed to be as close as possible to the real Trends website. And this is a really exciting way of performing on the magician's phone, because in the act of showing your spectators a QR code for, let's say, the Google Trends website, you actually have this wonderful secret input method. All right, so that's the basic 4 different input methods that you can do remotely with ReaList. Okay, so we saw the numeric keypad, we saw clock swiping, we saw Bluetooth remote, and we finally saw the new QR code input method. So what if you want to perform on your phone, meaning the magician's phone? Well, that's easy. All you're going to do is just tap on this convenient button on the left-hand side that says Perform on my phone, and you'll notice that your phone immediately is going to open up the Google Stats page, and it's already going to be in your account. So let's say you want to force Tom Hanks onto your spectator. So you would just scroll down the page, you would select the actors topic, and you would say to your spectator, yeah, you know, my favorite actor in a top 100 actors list is Tom Hanks. So give me just some random number between 1 and 100. So one of the things that I love about the input method I'm about to show you right now is that it's hidden in plain sight. And we call this the scroll input method. And here's how it works. As you look at this actors page, I want you to pay attention to the upper right-hand corner where there's a speech bubble with an exclamation point in the middle of it. All I'm going to do now is if I tap either the lower right or the lower left-hand corner, you can either tap these corners or you can do a diagonal swipe. And now you suddenly notice that the exclamation point that's at the top in the middle of the speech bubble disappears. That's because now we are in the secret input method. And so now, if you pay attention to the 0 here down at the bottom of the screen where it says 090, I'm going to read that number to you. It's 1,063,090. We're looking at the first 0. And if I start now scrolling the page up and down, you could see that the action of scrolling is allowing me to dial into a particular number. So let's say, for example, the spectator chose the number, let's see, 81, right? So as you can see here, as I scroll up, I'm going to simply let up on my finger when I reach the 8. But then you go down again to scroll again, and as you're going up, now you notice that the second 0 is changing. And as I reach the 1, I simply let up on my finger again. And so now we just forced Tom Hanks on item number 81. And at this point, you are welcome to give your phone to your spectator and ask them to scroll down to item number 81, because they're going to be shocked and amazed when they see that item number 81 is none other than Tom Hanks. I love this input method because you can do it at a moment's notice, and you can do it even if your phone is dead, and all you need to be able to perform with this method in ReaList is nothing more than your current PIN. Okay? And just to demonstrate that here for you really quickly, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to right now completely quit out of ReaList. That means that my phone is no longer being used. And as you can see from the little number that appears, it's called the batch number in the upper right-hand corner of the ReaList icon, that's actually reminding me that my current PIN right now is the number 63. Okay, so now at this point, your phone can be dead. You can actually completely put away your phone because you don't need it anymore. On the right-hand side, remember, the right-hand side is the magician's phone. And let's say you borrow the spectator's phone. Pardon me, the right side is the spectator's phone. Okay, you borrow the spectator's phone, and you're going to type in the google-stats.com, but you're going to follow it up with a / and your PIN, which is the number 63, right? And watch what happens. It opens up the page to your account, which means that now you can perform on your spectator's phone using the scroll input method that I just introduced to you, the same way that you would perform on your phone, which is, of course, the device here that's on the left-hand side. Just to prove that to you, let's do the Tom Hanks example again. So I will select the actor's topic. Now remember, you're going to be looking at the exclamation point that's here in the upper right-hand corner. You can tap either the lower right or the lower left-hand corner to activate your scroll input method. So I'll go ahead and tap it. I see the exclamation point has disappeared. So this time around, let's try a number like 56. So now as you scroll up, there's the 5. We're going to scroll up again. I can see that that's a 6. At this point, you give their phone, and by the way, notice that on the left-hand side over here, which is the magician's phone, the force has already gone through, and that's why there's that push notification. And so now the spectator, as you give their phone back to them, scrolls down the list of the top 100 actors down to their selected number, which is 56. And sure enough, they're going to find there is Tom Hanks. It is awesome. The power that you will feel knowing that at any moment, even if your phone is dead, you don't even need your phone. As long as you can just remember that your current PIN right now is the number 63, you are welcome to perform at any time on a borrowed phone in any browser. All right. So those are the wonderful new features of ReaList. And then I always like to save the best for last, because the last thing that I want to show you is how ReaList works with Inject for the ultimate peak utility. First of all, as far as setting up ReaList so that it can work with Inject, you're going to tap the little gear icon in the upper right-hand corner, and I want you to scroll down the page. So first, I like to do this actually using like the clock swipe input method, but you're welcome to actually use any of the input methods, but I prefer clock swipe. Okay, so I set my transmitter type to be clock swipe, and then you'll see that as you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, there's an area here where you can specify a link that normally would appear at the bottom of the Google Stats page. To activate this link with Inject, what you must do, and I'm going to say the word must again, is that where it says link URL, you must type in https:// google.cm. I'm going to spell that here for you. That's google.cm / and then your Inject ID. Okay? Now remember, this is not your real Inject ID. This is just simply whatever is your current Inject ID. And for me, it's the number 2, so that's why that is listed there. Okay? So that's the only thing that you have to do to get ready to perform with ReaList as a peaking utility for something that's going to be kind of like a lazy inject routine or anything else that's analogous to the Google Peak. On the right-hand side, we're going to go ahead and get rid of any of the tabs that we had open. And the way you get started is just the same way that we've been starting before, which is you click on Perform Remotely, and you're just going to drop the phone into your pocket. And before you do, just make sure that you take note of what the pairing topic is. And in this case, it's video games. Okay, so you ask your spectator to do a search for Google Stats, and so they do. They can put it in as either one word or two words. It doesn't matter. In fact, they can even misspell it, and it's still going to work. Okay, so over here, they're going to select the whatever is the first link that shows Google Stats, and then you ask them to scroll down all the way to the bottom of the page and select the video games topic. And so there's video games right there. But now here is where we're going to be using ReaList as a peeking method. So now you're going to ask your spectator to basically at the top of the screen over here to do a search for anything that they want. Now, normally when they click on the top of the screen there, their keyboard will appear. And so now the spectator is going to basically think of something. So let's say the spectator is thinking of piano, right? They type it in, they hit enter, and now watch what happens. Okay? Now you're going to notice that immediately on the left-hand side over here, with your phone in your pocket, there is a push notification that was just generated for what the spectator did a search for on their phone. And it is the word piano. On the right-hand side, on the spectator's phone, they are seeing how the word piano ranks in popularity all over the world. So it shows you all the real trends data, like interest over time, or the countries with the word piano is the most popular. So in every way imaginable, the Google Trends results seems very, very organic. So now the magician on the left-hand side can simply either slightly slide their phone out of their pocket and take a peek at the word piano at the top, or use any of the other inject peeking methods to see whatever the spectator had searched on the right-hand side. And because this is a standard inject notification, it can go to any of the products that currently support inject. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all of the new wonderful features of the new ReaList. We hope you enjoy it, and please let me know if you have any questions.